We're going to be adding one more element to our About page on our website. This is going to be a content timeline. The Spectra plugin has some nifty features, as you've seen, but right now we're going to be looking into something called the content timeline. This allows you to display historical events with vertical timeline items. This block has tons of customizations and ways that you can make your timeline your own. You can add a title, a description, icon, and dates to the timeline. You'll be able to adjust the color and the typography to suit your website needs. So let's jump in and see how we can add a timeline. I'm going to add this element to the upper portion of my website right underneath the hero image. We will start off by making a container, and I'm going to just make a one-column container. Inside my container, I'm going to add a heading, and we're simply going to title this area Our Story. I will align my text to the center, and now I'm ready to create the next element. What I want to do here is I'm going to click the plus sign, and we are going to be using the Spectra content timeline. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. And as you can see, a placeholder timeline is inserted into my project, and then I can modify any of these things. So we have options to adjust the timeline heading. We'll augment the description. In order to change the date, you're going to need to use the sidebar and change the date here. You'll go ahead and modify the additional timeline elements as needed. So I will quickly populate these for my needs. And if you need to create any more elements, you're going to come to the element. So I'm going to select this pteridinium root, and I will duplicate that one, and then I will drag it underneath. This way I get the alternate sides for my timeline. Now that I have the content entered in my content timeline, I can go about modifying the graphics. If you select the content timeline child, this is used for modifying the text-based information. If you want to modify the timeline graphics, you'll need to select on the content timeline parent. You'll be able to control things like the alignment of your text. So you can see that you can have everything on the left, but I kind of like this offset design. You can also control the text alignment, and you can control the arrow alignment. This is the graphic that appears in the middle. You can choose how you want the date to be styled. And for the timeline item, you can choose what size heading you want. The connector is where you can adjust the icon. If you want to use a different icon, you'll click Change Icon. And there are a bunch of icons in this collection. I happen to know that there is a seedling icon, so I'm going to use that because it's appropriate for my little business. You can adjust the icon size, so I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. The background size is going to control this circle. We're not going to do anything on border width, and the connector thickness is going to control the line that connects your timeline elements. I'll leave mine at 3. Regarding colors, you'll need to go to Style, and this is where you can control things like spacing, if you want a gap between your timeline markers, so we're just going to increase that a little bit. And for the timeline items, you can control things like the color of your text, the typography, the spacing at the bottom, the description color, the timeline border radius. All of these things can be customized. I'm going to go into date. I'm going to slightly change the color to be my dark gray for the dates. And for typography, we're going to go ahead and change the style to italic and make the size a little bit smaller. So I will reduce the size down to 14. Then we have the connector, and this is where we can control the connector. So the connector color is the line in between these elements. So I will make this my light green. The icon color is where you can control the color of your icons. You can see that now these are dark green. If you want to create a border, you can. I will go ahead and add the border. And then of course, if you want the border to show up, we need to go back to general and we need to increase the border width. That's where we can make this adjustment. All right, let's go ahead and hit save and let's preview this in the browser. I'll refresh my page. And if we go up to the top, you can see this is what my timeline looks like. The colors are there, but when we start to scroll down, you can see how the colors are going to change. So let's see if we can modify that. There should be under style a focus setting. For focus, I'm going to leave my connector color at the light green. The icon color is going to change to the lime green, and the background color is going to remain at my dark green. So I will simply just change the icon color, and the border color is going to change to a dark green as well. So let's go ahead and hit save. And now if we refresh, we have this really cool little timeline, and you can see that it works really well. It just adds a little bit more interest to our website. It is worth mentioning that this is responsive, so at the tablet and mobile size screens, it switches to a left aligned timeline. I like this element. It is kind of fun. Obviously, it might not be something that you're going to use on every project, but it is something that's a little bit different. And it's really easy to make modifications and customize this to be exactly what you want.